Hi, I'm Mayor Ted Wheeler. I get asked all the time, what is my vision around policing? I want us to have a community that's safer while the work of the police is more transparent. From my perspective, what that means is I want a police bureau that has the tools, the resources, the training, and the personnel to be able to do their job effectively. But in no way should we discount calls for increased transparency or accountability. I've boiled it down to something I call the 3 R's. The 3 R's represent reform, refocus, and restaffing. Reforming means bringing new ideas to the table with more community accountability and transparency. Ideas like fully funding the body-worn cameras program, something I'm going to ask my colleagues to fund in just the next couple of weeks through the fall budget process. It also includes programs like the Focused Intervention Team. This is a police team that will focus on intervention and prevention of gun violence. But it's not like the old GVRT. That model was disbanded and it was discredited through several audits. What this model will do is create opportunities for intervention and prevention, but it will do so with community oversight through what's called the FITCOG, the Focused Intervention Team Community Oversight Group. That team is already being assembled. The FITCOG is already meeting on a weekly basis. They're working hand in hand with the Portland Police Bureau to hire staff for the Focused Intervention Team. We hope to have that team out on the streets sometime in November. There's other reforms that we're looking at as well, including creating a civilian dean of training who will work with the Portland Police Bureau to engage the community in the training of our police officers. Refocus means taking a look at who are actually deploying for what kind of calls to the 911 system. An armed response isn't necessarily the right response for every call that comes to 911. That's why I'm supporting programs like the Portland Street Response in our fall budget process. I'm working right now with Commissioner Hardesty on various ways that we can deploy more broadly across the city with the funds that will be released during the fall budget process. The police don't necessarily need to intervene when somebody's acting out in crisis in our community, and the Portland Street Response team is a medic paired with a mental health specialist. And for lower level acuity calls, they're probably the more appropriate responses as opposed to an armed police officer. I'll also be working with Commissioner Mapps during this fall process to expand our investments in the city's 311 system. So calls that really aren't all that urgent or aren't emergencies would be put into the 311 system and not be responded to by police or firefighters. In addition, I'm going to continue long-term to support the unarmed division of the Portland Police Bureau, the Portland Public Safety Support Specialist program. We tripled the size of that during the last budget. This is a program I started my first year in office as mayor, and I hope to see that program continue to grow throughout the city. Last of all, restaffing. This is an important issue. I know there's a lot of debate in the community about whether or not we should increase police officers. I want to be transparent. I absolutely believe the Portland Police Bureau is critically understaffed. There's different numbers and measures that are out there, but whether you're looking at call response time to 911 critical calls, or whether you're looking at the cost of overtime staffing, if you're looking at the number of police officers per capita, on every count, the Portland Police Bureau falls way below acceptable threshold levels. So I am working with our public safety unit. Mike Myers, who heads that, will be working with Portland Police Chief Chuck Lavelle to create a long-term evidence-based staffing proposal for the Portland Police Bureau that I'll bring to the Portland City Council as soon as I possibly can. In the meanwhile, I'm asking my colleagues to support what's called a Rehire program for the Portland Police Bureau in this fall budget process. Under Rehire, we can incentivize police officers who've already been trained, who've already been certified, to come back and work with us on a short-term basis to help fill some of the gaps that we're currently experiencing around police. That'll allow us to move away from the status quo, which is police officers bouncing from 911 call to 911 call from their squad cars and not really being out and visible in the community. in spending time with neighborhood groups or small business owners or operators or people who just want to have more of a normal interaction with their police bureau. This, I think, will increase accountability as well as support for the Portland Police Bureau. And frankly, this is the kind of policing that our police officers want to get back to. It'll help improve morale within the Portland Police Bureau. So those are just a couple of the things that we're working on. When you hear me talk about reform, refocus, and restaff, I hope this video will help you understand what it is I'm talking about. Thanks again. It's an honor to serve as your mayor.